didn't end up here by chance. This moment right now is not random. You've been sensing something stirring beneath the surface of your life. Not a loud shout from heaven, but a persistent tug, a whisper that refuses to be silenced by routine. It's been there in the quiet moments, in the sleepless nights, in the shift of your appetite for what once satisfied. And now heaven is pressing in a little closer, not to overwhelm you, but to awaken you. There are times when God doesn't knock with thunder. He taps gently, interrupting your ordinary day with something subtle but sacred. A conversation that hits too close to home, a delay that feels inconvenient but ends up sparing you from something unseen. A feeling that your heart doesn't settle the way it used to. These are not accidents. They are invitations. Heaven is knocking not on your door, but on your discernment. You've asked questions that never made it past your lips. You've felt the weight of delays you can't explain. You've wondered why what used to feel certain now feels clouded. But the question isn't whether God is speaking. The question is, are you listening? Because in this moment, He's not trying to get your attention with volume. He's trying to awaken your perception. There's a difference. Imagine walking through the forest, lost in your thoughts, when suddenly you realize you're standing at a fork in the trail. No signs, no guide, just your gut telling you one path feels different. That's what this is. That gut feeling, that holy hesitation, that tightening in your chest when you hear the words, chosen one. If your spirit leaned forward even slightly, you already know this message is for you. God has been showing up in your life, not always in miracles, but in interruptions, in patterns that repeat until you finally pause, in moments that feel off, but only because you've outgrown where you used to fit. It's not chaos. It's choreography, but only those who slow down enough to look can follow the rhythm. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. That's not just poetic comfort from John 10:27, it's divine strategy. God doesn't just want to inform you, He wants to lead you. And leadership requires movement, not just belief. The Trail of Signs is not entertainment for the spiritually curious, it's instruction for the spiritually awakened. So here you are, still listening, still leaning in, still not scrolling away. And that matters, because distraction is the enemy's favorite tool. If he can't stop your calling, he'll settle for numbing it. But you're not numb anymore. Not now. Something in you is alert, and that alertness is not random. It's sacred. What if every delay was a detour away from danger? What if every closed door was a redirection toward something stronger? What if God has been steering you not with a map, but with a magnet drawing your spirit toward alignment, even when your mind resists the pull? That's what you're experiencing. And it's not just discomfort, it's divine disruption. You've been asking for answers, and God in His mercy is answering not with one loud moment, but with a trail of holy markers. Each one whispering, turn here, slow down, pay attention. Don't miss this. And the truth is, most people won't recognize them. Most people will call it coincidence or chaos. But you're not most people. You're chosen. You've been marked not by perfection, but by purpose. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being sensitive to something more. Your assignment isn't louder, it's deeper. And it starts with listening. Deeply. Not to every voice, not to every thought, but to the one voice that has been consistent all along. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are being summoned. And this tug in your spirit is heaven saying now. Not tomorrow. Not when you have it all figured out. Now. Let your heart settle in this moment. Let your defenses fall. Let the tension of trying to make sense of it all give way to stillness. Because stillness is where the signal gets clear. Stillness is where spiritual ears begin to open. Stillness is where divine instruction begins. If it feels like something is shifting, it's because it is. If it feels like something old is cracking, it's because something new is trying to emerge. And the shaking you feel, it's not the end. It's the beginning. Because when heaven begins to knock, it's not just to get your attention, it's to change your direction. And if you've sensed that you're not crazy, you're being called. Now breathe. Stay here. Because what comes next will reveal why God had to wake you up. You felt it. That low hum underneath your day. The one that stirs when everything else is quiet. The one that tells you something is happening behind the scenes, even if you can't quite explain it. And deep down your spirit knows. God hasn't gone silent. He's just speaking differently. Subtly, strategically. Not through noise, but through nudges. Signs don't always come wrapped in miracles. Sometimes they come as patterns. Recurring numbers, dreams that feel heavier than sleep, conversations that echo something you just prayed. Waking up at 3:11 a.m. 3 nights in a row with your heart racing and no reason why. You brush it off, call it stress or coincidence. But heaven doesn't speak in coincidence. Heaven speaks in confirmation. And the spiritually awake learn to tell the difference. When God is trying to get your attention, He won't always shout. He whispers into repetition. He tugs through tension. He disrupts what you thought was normal until you pause and ask, "What are you saying?" Because that pause, that awareness, is the birthplace of alignment. This is why your sleep has been interrupted. Not randomly, but intentionally. When the world is silent, when your mind is too tired to overanalyze, your spirit becomes easier to reach. It's in the quiet hours that divine downloads happen. You're not just waking up, you're being awakened. God has a long history of speaking through visions, dreams, impressions, moments that bypass the mind and speak directly to the soul. Joel 2:28 reminds us, "In the last days, I will pour out my spirit." That pouring doesn't always look like fire from the sky. Sometimes it's that sharp awareness in your chest that this place, this moment, this pattern, it matters. Don't ignore what repeats. Don't silence what stirs. Heaven is mapping a path through the ordinary. And every time you feel that divine déjà vu, every time a number shows up again, every time a phrase strikes you twice, it's not just aesthetic, it's alignment. When your spirit reacts before your mind understands, don't rush to logic. Rush to listening. Jeremiah 33:3 promises, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and will tell you great and hidden things you have not known." Hidden things don't scream. They whisper. They require stillness to hear. They require trust to follow. This is not about superstition or chasing signs like breadcrumbs. This is about spiritual perception, the ability to discern what heaven is emphasizing. A chosen one doesn't live by reaction, but by revelation. You are not being asked to chase feelings. You are being asked to pay attention to how God is already guiding. When you enter a room and the air feels charged, that's not paranoia. That's perception. When you lose your taste for certain environments or conversations, that's not social fatigue, it's spiritual filtration. When the music you used to love now feels hollow, when the noise you once enjoyed now feels overwhelming, that's not coincidence, that's calibration. God isn't just leading you, He's refining your senses to stay led. Isaiah 30:21 says, "Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, 'This is the way. Walk in it.'" That word isn't always audible, but it's always clear to the listening soul. So what do you do when the signs come? You pause. You pray. You don't race past them. You don't explain them away. You sit with them. You ask, Lord, is this from you? And if it is, you ask the next question. What are you preparing me for? Every holy moment comes with a question. Every stirring is an invitation. The signals you're receiving are not meant to confuse you, they're meant to reorient you. They aren't just to be noticed, they are to be followed. Don't drown these signs in distraction. Don't treat divine nudges like static. These moments are heaven's breadcrumbs, and you are closer to something than you realize. The pattern is increasing because your window is narrowing. The signs are getting louder because your obedience is being called for sooner. God is not merely giving you inspiration, He's giving you instructions. Learn to respond while the signal is soft before life gets noisy again. Learn to trust what stirs your spirit, even when your mind demands explanation. The more you trust His whispers, the more clearly you'll hear His voice. You are not just meant to recognize the pattern. You are meant to walk in the direction it's pointing. What starts as a sign always leads to a step, and the ones who walk in it are the ones who begin to live what others only glimpse. You've seen the signs. You've felt the weight. Now heaven is asking, are you ready to follow where it's leading? You've followed the signs. You've started to recognize that God isn't just showing you patterns, He's shaping you through them. But now something deeper is happening. Something quieter, yet more unsettling. The places that once brought you comfort now feel foreign. The things that used to excite you fall flat. The conversations that used to spark connection now feel shallow. And you're left wondering, what changed? The answer isn't that you're broken. It's that you're being set apart. When God begins to prepare someone for something sacred, He often starts by removing their taste for the ordinary. Not to isolate them out of punishment, but to prepare them in protection. You're not being pushed away. You're being pulled inward, into stillness, into silence, into sacred space where clarity is born and noise no longer rules. You may feel the ache of loneliness, but this loneliness is not abandonment, it's consecration. You've been marked for more, and more requires margin. Margin from distractions, margin from opinions, margin from noise. Because when God speaks clearly, it's usually to the one who has stopped trying to hear everyone else. Corinthians 6:17 says, "Come out from among them, and be separate, says the Lord, and I will receive you." That's not rejection of people, it's protection of purpose. God isn't removing you from everything because He's angry. He's shielding you from anything that would water down your assignment. Think about the seed. Before it grows, it disappears, hidden in dirt, pressed under pressure, forgotten in the dark. But what looks like isolation is really incubation, and in that sacred silence, roots form, strength develops, identity deepens. The same thing is happening to you. This is why familiar rhythms are breaking down, why old habits suddenly feel heavy, why you can't go back to who you were even if you tried. Because what God is doing next cannot be built on what once was. You're not being unraveled. You're being restructured. If it feels like your appetite has changed, it has. God is removing your taste for what can't nourish you in the next season. You used to crave affirmation. Now you crave peace. You used to run to busyness. Now your soul longs for stillness. That is not regression. That is transformation. He's breaking attachments not to hurt you, but to heal you. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because what He's about to trust you with will require a deeper level of clarity than you've ever known. And clarity is rarely found in crowds. It's born in solitude. Psalm 91:1 reminds us, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." The secret place is not just a quiet room, It's a condition of the soul, a space where performance dies and presence reigns. And that's where you've been drawn. Into God's shadow, not to be hidden from purpose, but to be protected while it matures. You may not have the words for what's shifting in you, but your spirit knows this. You are not who you were. And that is not a crisis, it's confirmation. It's God loosening the grip of what was so you can embrace what is to come. And yes, it feels uncomfortable. But comfort was never meant to be your guide. Alignment is. Obedience is. And alignment often feels like tension before it feels like peace. You are being calibrated, spiritually realigned, not just to hear God, but to move with Him uninterrupted, undistracted, unshaken. This is why old environments feel noisy, why certain friendships feel out of rhythm, why your heart no longer settles for shallow. God is breaking familiarity to birth focus. You are being made ready. So let the silence come. Let the stillness settle. Let the disconnection do its work. Don't reach back for what God is cutting away. Don't force your way into rooms He's leading you out of. What feels like loss is actually liberation. You are being stripped only of what could not carry your future. This isn't punishment. It's placement. You're not being left behind, you're being positioned. And when the silence lifts and the fog clears, you'll realize that God wasn't taking things from you. He was clearing the space for something sacred to arrive. Let that truth anchor you. Let it give you peace in the middle of the unfamiliar. Because where you're going, distraction can't follow. And what you're carrying, compromise, can't survive. You are not just being prepared. You are being purified. And the purifying fire of solitude is not to burn you. It's to forge you into someone who can walk into their assignment without wavering. Someone who hears God not just in the thunder, but in the whisper. You're almost there. Stay present. Stay tender. Stay aligned. The stillness is not empty. It's full of Him. Obedience doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's choosing to pray instead of worry. Sometimes it's walking away when your flesh wants to stay. Sometimes it's getting still when everything in you wants to run. And other times, it's simply doing the thing you already know God told you to do. But you keep putting it off because you're still negotiating with fear. You felt it, haven't you? That inner tug that won't let go. That soft but persistent sense that you need to end the conversation, start the fast delete, the number, walk away from the noise. You've told yourself, I'll do it when I feel more ready, or when the timing makes more sense. But what if that hesitation is the very thing keeping the door from opening? What if you're standing in front of a divine opportunity, but it's waiting for your alignment, not your explanation? Revelation 3:8 says, See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. But what happens when the door is open and we're still standing still? The door didn't close. We just never walked through it. Heaven's invitation doesn't always come with fanfare. It often comes with urgency wrapped in silence. Obedience is the language of the spiritually mature. It's what separates revelation from transformation. And in seasons like this, where the atmosphere is thick with divine activity, obedience isn't just nice, it's necessary. Not partial obedience, not delayed obedience, but full, immediate surrender. Because delay doesn't always mean defeat, but it often causes it. Habakkuk 2:3 says, Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. God's timing is precise. But if you delay your yes while waiting for comfort, you may find yourself unprepared for the very moment you've been praying for. This is why your spirit has felt that pressure lately. It's not anxiety, It's alignment pulling you forward. Your body feels it. Your sleep is interrupted. Your appetite is changing. Your soul is sensing what heaven is activating. And while others may dismiss it as stress, you know better. It's God, preparing you, positioning you, pressing you to respond. But here's the truth: full obedience rarely feels convenient. It often feels like risk, like surrendering control, like stepping out while your knees are still shaking. But that's the doorway. That's how purpose begins. Not through certainty, but through surrender. Some of you are still holding the promise in one hand while gripping disobedience in the other. You're asking for clarity while ignoring the command you already received. You're begging for the next instruction, but God's waiting for you to honor the last one. This isn't judgment. This is mercy. Heaven isn't frustrated with you, it's waiting on you. Because obedience is not about perfection, it's about posture. It's saying, even when I don't understand, I trust. It's saying, even when it costs me, I'll follow. It's saying, even when the door feels unfamiliar, I'll step. Delayed obedience might feel safe in the moment, but it carries a high cost. It steals momentum. It clouds discernment. It keeps you circling the same mountain, asking the same questions, watching others move, while you sit with spiritual motion sickness. But you're not stuck, you're summoned. And God isn't asking for performance. He's asking for participation, not because He needs your strength, but because He wants your agreement. Your obedience is what activates what's already been set in motion. This is the season to move, to step into the uncomfortable yes, to follow even when the way forward isn't fully clear. Because clarity often comes in motion. Light doesn't hit the full path, it hits your next step. And the more you obey, the brighter it gets. Let go of the idea that God's will always feels peaceful in the beginning. Sometimes it feels like fire, like the breaking of chains, like losing what kept you comfortable but small. Sometimes obedience costs you relationships, comfort, familiar rhythms, but it never costs you purpose. It never costs you peace, not the shallow kind, but the kind that holds steady when storms come. This is where decisions become defining. When you feel that whisper in the coming days, respond. Don't debate. Don't delay. Don't ask for 20 signs to confirm what your spirit already knows. Move. The instruction might look small. Send the message, close the account, begin the fast, but it will unlock something bigger than you can see from where you stand. God is calling you into alignment, not because He's rushing you, but because He's ready. Ready to release what's been prepared. Ready to position you where your voice will matter, where your obedience will echo in the lives of others. This is no longer about watching others walk through their open doors. This is about yours. And that door is waiting not on God's timing, but on your yes. The moment you say it, the full surrendered, no conditions, yes, the shift begins. The oil flows, the vision clears, and suddenly what you've been circling becomes the path you walk with confidence. You were made for this step. You were equipped for this moment. Heaven already said yes. Now it's your turn. This is what it's all been leading to. The signs, the stirrings, the silence, the stripping, it wasn't random. It was refinement. God didn't just want your attention. He wanted your alignment. Because now you're not just the one who notices the confirmation, you're becoming the confirmation. You've walked through doors others couldn't see. You've stayed when it hurt. You've moved when it didn't make sense. You've obeyed when no one else knew why you had to. And heaven saw every step. Nothing was wasted. Not the delay, not the detour, not even the heartbreak. It was all part of the molding. Now the molding gives way to movement. Isaiah 61 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That's not a suggestion. It's a charge. Arise. Shine. Now. Not after you feel ready. Not after you see the full picture. Not once you've explained it to everyone. Now. Because the world doesn't need another hesitant believer. It needs a fully awakened one. One who doesn't just talk about light, but becomes it. You are no longer hidden. Not because God was hiding you out of rejection, but because He was hiding you in protection. Psalm 91:1 called it a secret place. That season of obscurity, it was your covering. That closed door you mourned, it was a gate into a deeper authority. The silence you feared, it was sacred soil. And now what was planted in secret is breaking through the surface. You were never forgotten. You were being formed. So now you move different. Not from insecurity, but from insight. You speak different. Not to impress, but to intercede. You walk into rooms not seeking validation, but carrying visitation. Because you are no longer just asking for signs. You are walking in purpose. The world around you might still look chaotic. Shaking will still come. People may not understand your new rhythm. But clarity doesn't require consensus. When God commissions you, you don't need a committee. Ephesians 5:14 says, "Awake, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." That's what this is, awakening. And awakenings aren't soft, right? They're sudden. They rattle your routines, flip your priorities, reorder your time. But that's not dysfunction. That's divine disruption. That's God reclaiming the driver's seat. So if the old schedule no longer fits, let it fall. If the old crowd no longer connects, release it. If the old version of you no longer brings peace, bury it. Because who you're becoming cannot be diluted by what you're leaving. And what's coming will require all of you clear, steady, surrendered. No more half in obedience. No more dipping your toes in destiny. No more waiting to be invited. Heaven already commissioned you. God already confirmed it. The only question left is, will you walk in it? You've waited. You've wondered. You've watched. Now it's time to become. The clarity you asked for. It's here. The peace you've longed for. It's tied to your obedience. The momentum you've prayed for, it's waiting on your full yes. Not your safe yes. Not your filtered yes. Your full yes. God isn't asking you to have all the answers. He's asking you to carry His presence, to host His glory, to move when He says move, to speak when He says speak, to remain when He says stay. Because your assignment was never about how ready you felt it was, about how available you were willing to be. Isaiah 58:11 says, "The Lord will guide you continually." That's the promise. Not momentarily, not occasionally, continually. But continual guidance requires continual agreement. You can't keep switching lanes and expect to stay on the road. Now is the moment to lock in. Let the shift finalize. Let the decision solidify. Let your obedience become your offering. Because what God is releasing through you will not just change your life, it will confirm His hand to others watching. You are not just being positioned for personal breakthrough. You're being placed as a living altar, a signpost for others, a walking answer to someone else's prayer. The very clarity you've received is meant to create clarity in the lives of others. That's the kind of vessel you've become. And yes, it's weighty. Yes, it's stretching. But it's holy. And heaven doesn't ask you to carry it alone. The same Spirit that stirred you awake will sustain you forward. So here it is, the invitation. Not just to notice God's movement, but to join it. Not just to witness the shift, but to embody it. You've been confirmed, commissioned, covered, and now you're being released. Say yes, with your hands open, with your fears surrendered, with your identity rooted, with your eyes locked on Him. The shift wasn't meant to confuse you. It was meant to call you. And now you understand you weren't just chosen to notice alignment. You were chosen to become it.